This factory here produces about 2,000 to 3,000 screens per day, and it takes about 50 workers to do that. All of this production that you see here all eventually ends up on the shelves at mobile vendors. All production starts with the guys checking raw LCDs. He's actually looking at the pixels to make sure we don't have any dead pixels. And they do this per batch, not per piece, to make sure what we ordered from Tianma is what was delivered from Tianma. You can see the electron microscope he looks on, and he's actually looking at the physical pixels of each LCD screen. If a tray is good to go, it will get passed and then it'll get moved into production. But a raw LCD panel, like you see here, gets loaded into the machine. She takes this piece, has the open flex, and it goes into this machine where a raw flex cable is put in, it's pressed, and you come out with these, where you have a raw LCD with a flex attached to it. This piece they take one by one and test them for the very first time. They test, they put the flex on, they make sure that the LCD lights up, and that's what they're doing at this position over here, so that we have now a LCD with a flex that's functional. These are called pressure rooms. You can actually feel the air coming out, so no dirt and dust can get into the room. What you see here is the actual digitizer film being assembled onto the glass, and then the flex that controls the digitizer or the touch added to here. So what you end up with is it has the glass with the digitizer and the digitizer flex ready to go. On this side, she's loading the digitizers that they just built in the screen we saw, and then on this side, you're loading. This is the automated machine, which takes those two components, seals them together, and bonds them into the assembly like we're used to seeing at FD. Coming out on this line, we start to see a real complete assembly. It has the glass, the digitizer, the LCD, and all the flexes bonded together. So at this point is where they start to put the backlight on and also the 3D touch. So we have the glass, the digitizer, the LCD, and now the backlight and the 3D touch assembled at this point here. This is our second test point where we're actually testing a screen. They're going through, they're lighting up the screen, they're checking the backlight, they're also checking the touch of the digitizer and 3D pressure touch if necessary at these 2 points. Again, if those goods pass, they get passed on the step to the next level. So what we see here at this level is actually the final step of the clean room assembly. There's 2 different jigs that they're loading. The first jig over here, they take a frame. We have raw frame, like we see. Those raw frames get loaded in. That process actually is like a plasma torch that cleans and puts a slight abrasion on the inside of it. That's loaded into one of these jigs. On the other side, the girls here are using our adhesive, which automatically does, if you follow, lays the glue in place automatically. They take that piece and he lays it into the jig with the frame already in it. Once he gets a stack of 10 or 12 of those, you're going to see him, he's going to take that stack and he's going to move it over. And this is what, when we talk about something being cold pressed, this is actually a cold press. He'll take the whole stack, put it in there, the pressure comes down, he sets a timer for however long it takes to cure that adhesive. This is the final step within the clean room where they're checking the flexes, they're taping stuff down, and they're actually putting on the plastic and the plastic cover on the glass and the plastic cover on the backlight. So it gives you a finished presentation much more similar to what we see at FD. Finished screen all the way through. Once it happens, this stack of screens is taken to another access point in the control room. We talked earlier about where the raw goods come in. The raw goods come in here, it goes through the process, and eventually we stick them in this room where we have the next step of the process. We'll get out of our clothes here and we'll go over and show you guys that. So like I said earlier, this is a relatively small factory. It has about 50 workers and we can produce between 2,000 and 3,000 pieces a day. The reason we like it is we can control everything that goes into the screen. We deal with all of the raw components individually, which is unique to a US distribution company. So the next step outside the clean room is testing. This is where we take some of our finished product. And again, everything you see on the shelf here is stuff that will end up on MD shelves within a couple of days. It's where my culvert's traditionally sitting, where we're doing individual color testing, where these guys are doing function testing and checking every piece that comes off the line. So once a component is deemed good in this room, where you see them, both these people are testing digis, just like we like. Mike's testing colors. So we do physically check every piece. They put them into stacks like these that are ready to go into our next step of production, which is our next room over. We'll go over and have a look at that. So the next step is where we start to add small parts to it. What they're doing here, adding the camera rings, the ear speaker mesh, all the gaskets, things like that at these tables. To turn it into truly a finished product. All of these goods here will be shipped out within a couple of days. You don't realize how many screens, 2,000 or 3,000 screens are, until it moves to our packaging tables. And what happens are, these guys are doing the last check of MD Select screens, where they're putting it in the package, they're sealing it up, they're counting it, and eventually ending to one of our POs. That's really how we make a screen from beginning to end. The way we do it here is incredibly unique, that we're completely under one roof and we control all of the production. Virtually everybody else is doing goods in the market or taking what's accepted. So the fact that we're printing boxes, producing screens, testing, packaging, shipping, all under one roof really gives us the control that we want as a company that nobody else in the industry has.